Hi, my name is David Blevins, and my project is meeting the diverse needs of the classroom students. I'm a secondary education history major. I teach middle school students between 6th through 8th grades. Occasionally, I'll pick up a 5th grade class. This is extremely beneficial in that I get to see students progress in the subject matter, for several years in a row. I can relate items back to previous years, talk to them about things that we discussed before, and always be assured they have the background that I want them to have in my classroom. It also helps me to kind of keep in touch with them and make sure that they are developing into certain fields and certain studies of the curriculum that are important, that we stay on standards, and that they always have the background that they need. I teach at Winfield Elementary School. We are only about 180 students, which means we are small. We're a rural community, about a 14 to 1 student teacher ratio, which is good. We have a lot of help in that sense, in that a lot of extra time, a lot of extra attention can be paid to the students to give them more one-on-one time, to give them opportunity and the teacher opportunity to be able to watch them, monitor them, and approach the needs that they may have, whether that be the student who needs extra attention, extra help, extra consideration in their assignments, or the student who just needs a little more to push them forward, to get them more interested. Perhaps they're an advanced student who needs just some extra influence, some extra push, so that they will stay on topic and be more involved. We are a 100% free reduced lunch and breakfast school, which is great because many students, not all, but there are many, who this is the only meal that they'll have during the day, their breakfast and lunch they get here. Sometimes it's only hot meals they have during the day. This helps to keep students on task, helps them to keep them focused, and obviously much more healthy. Again, we're a small community, which works both ways for us. Often I know most of the parents, if not all of them, on a first name basis. I recognize them. I see them out of town. We meet in places. And we have a lot of meetings just because we run into one another. And these meetings are sometimes better than the formal ones that we'll have in a classroom or at prearranged parent-teacher conferences. It's a good way to keep in touch. They know how to get with me easily, and vice versa. We have 0 English language learners in our school. We do have several of minority groups such as Mexican, Latin America, and even African American, but there's not many at all, and none of these do not know how to or regularly speak English. We do have something around a 20% special needs population, which may seem like a lot on the surface, but considering our small population, it doesn't take many kids to make up that 20%. I'm also a big fan of technology. I love technology in my day-to-day use. Just about everybody does. I also love technology in the classroom. I find technology extremely beneficial. It's a great tool, and that's how I explain it to my children. I tell them that technology is a tool. We use it wisely, and it won't harm us, but if we use it improperly, it can be bad for us. So therefore, I use it with great discipline in my room, and the students all understand this. What's really great about technology is oftentimes it's the students who will take off with it faster than most adults. And this is not limited to just your mainstream student class. This includes your advanced group, your struggling students, and all of those in the middle. I've found many times that it's even your special needs students who will pick up a tablet and just run away with it. They'll take off with a concept, they'll look at the tablet, and they'll just start flipping through, seeing what they can do with it. And often this is a way to catch their attention, to get them interested. Some students who don't necessarily learn well through lecturing or even projecting slides onto a screen can look at a video or look at a tablet, or just the fact that it is something different than your mainstream classroom. They will become excited just for the opportunity and therefore learn more from it. This works again through all areas. One area that I've been very privileged to be able to have is our book series allows us ebooks. It allows us extra information. We have all these extras through electronics. Our book series through McGraw-Hill gives us ebooks, online access. I assign these to the students. The students then are able to use this anywhere they have a device and internet. It also gives them access to download the ebook. They can download their textbook, put it on their tablets. I allow students to bring in their own tablets or computers, mainly laptops, into the classroom if they wish. And they seem to enjoy this. They can bring their device to school. It's exciting for them, and it gives them that little bit of extra help that they may need. Also, we do assignments online. Not all of them, but some assignments are done online, which is just, for some of them, it's a reward to be able to do this in a different manner, not to have to pick up that pencil and piece of paper. But the online assignments also give them clues and give them extra venues to approach to look at this information and find different ways of obtaining correct answers. Now, a lot of times your advanced students will get a little distracted. They'll take off in areas, they'll answer their questions, but then all this extra information, all this extra access will allow them to explore more, to be curious. And this is awesome. I love this because it piques their curiosity, allows them to delve further into the content. For your struggling students, this type of medium also allows search options that allow them to find the correct answers better, to look up information based on keywords. They can find their correct answers. They can see success a little more readily. Another thing that's awesome about this one is our read to option within these. Students have, as you look into the top left-hand corner of the screen, you'll see a little headphone icon. The book will read to the students, and they'll be able to listen to someone read to them, giving them aid with their current reading. For some students, this is just extremely helpful. Many students don't use it, but the ones who do always seem to find it beneficial. Any information that they gain on the side, though, is also beneficial. This series gives them maps, it gives them graphs, it gives them pictures and slideshows, and what most of them like is the educational games. There are games pertaining to the content and allow them to maybe understand the content a little better through the use of gaming software. And this definitely it provides a fun aspect to it, but also keeps them on task. And with all this technology I have floating around my room, I definitely love Google Play Books. In Google Play Books, I assign this on every tablet and currently have about 250 plus books on demand in the classroom. This is accessible to any student in my room. I make sure that these books are complex and diverse. Anything ranging from a comic strip style graphic novel, moving up to your classic novels such as To Kill a Mockingbird. This way that the students who are already proficient readers or who have read the lower level books have a chance to explore higher level reading. It also gives some of these other students who may not tackle books without pictures a chance to look at content in a way that they find less intimidating. They seem to really enjoy these. I use the Google Play Books for primary source material. I use it for access to different types of images, anything. I've even used it for Minecraft options just to get kids to read about a Minecraft book so they'll be reading in class on times. Obviously, this does not pertain to my subject, but it does get them to read when we have downtime. You'll also notice on my tablets, I offer several different options on there. Not only in our content area books, we also give games to them. Things like presidential quizzes, or name that quote, or geography skills. And probably one of the fan favorite of the class is Google Earth. They love this one. All students seem to tackle into this one. Now, of course, the first place they look for is their house. But then they'll go to their buddy's house, and then they'll go to, somewhere else. They'll find a landmark or something like that. But eventually they'll get around to looking at historic places like the pyramids of Giza or the Kaaba in Mecca, or even ancient historic castles in England. Anything to get them interested in looking at stuff on a primary level and just keep them on task. I'm also kind of lucky to have a lot of headphones for my classroom. With the read to skills that are allowed on our tablets, students have these cushy headphones. These are very good for most students. They've used these in the past. They don't find them to be demeaning in any way. There's no, these are not just special education headphones. They're ones that are used in every classroom. So these are comfortable. They're loud, but they're not, ear deafening. But they're also very helpful. This helps with every area of kid. Again, back to another area where I have a lot of help here and use this in my classroom is I have an aide in almost all my classes where I have a special needs child. Aides are typically 1-to-1, which is extremely helpful. Never have I seen anything more than like a 3-to-1 ratio student to teacher. Obviously, this is not the aide's job to do everything, but the aide helps me. It helps me and helps the student to make sure that I can give the students assignments that are allowable, that are ability-based, and allow for a success in the classroom. Not every student can read and get the information they need. Sometimes it can be as simple as the student coloring a picture book. And as long as it's on task, I've had many examples of having Charlemagne, such as the person pictured on our book here, letting the student color Charlemagne and then talk about Charlemagne, telling me why he was so important, what type of king he was. Or they could go as complex as writing an essay where the aide would give me a hand and they would help to outline information, help the student to connect ideas, and then create some type of essay that they could turn in as a grade. This, along with an accommodated grading scale and any other accommodations that might be necessary to help the student find success in the room. That can be more time, extended time periods, a better location. Locations such as this table over here, I set this off to the side of the room just for these conferences, these small groupings of teacher aide and student. Now, the student will not stay at this table the whole time, as it is important that they will become more socialized into our groups in our classroom. I find them to be very beneficial. This gives the students a chance to socialize, to compare ideas, and oftentimes it's not just your mainstream students that will debate and become engaged in the topic. All children need that opportunity to discuss and compare notes. It just aids in greater learning activity. And another area that I found extremely helpful is meetings, ongoing meetings. Now, this does not necessarily mean you're scheduled it, planned it, dreading it, meeting at the end of the day. This does not necessarily mean your parent-teacher conference. Probably the best meetings I have all day are just the impromptu ones, the ones where I discuss with my other faculty members. How's Johnny doing in your class today? He seemed a little upset in my room. Is he having trouble with reading today? He seems to be having issues one thing or the other. There may be bullying going on that we have to keep on top of. Whether we're approaching minority group issues or we're dealing with a student who's just bored and needs extra information, maybe a greater challenge to make them more interested. Any area of the spectrum can be addressed just very quickly in 5 to 10 minutes in between classes and give us not only just an up-to-date daily prognosis on things, but even so much as hourly or more, so we keep on top of every student as best we can. And field trips. Field trips are not just for fun, although they are. A lot of people dismiss field trips as being nothing more than just fun. I find them to be a little more than that. All kids enjoy them. The teachers do too. But field trips are good in the sense you get out of the classroom, you get to explore, you get to socialize, and you get to look at things firsthand. It's a chance to stretch out, and if you do it right, it's a chance to expand education into a real world atmosphere. And it allows the kids to learn and socialize and see more directly. And it's a great opportunity. I love these things, and the kids seem to really do as well. We took a trip to Fort Loudon, where it was a chance to experience how close a historic place was. They didn't realize that we were just a couple hours away from a major fort during the colonial period. They also got to visit a museum where we got to have a greater understanding of place and reality and the size of these major events. A lot of children, a lot of students don't realize that forts are not huge encampments. Sometimes they're very small, or some think they're extremely small and don't realize how large they are. This gives a real world perspective and allows them to see it firsthand. We also got to see how people lived day to day back then during historical events at these historic landmarks. We also get to have a full landmark view, get to see it in person, see what it looks like, see what it's made out of. And just a good view of past life. What was it like? How did you enter the fort? How did you leave the fort? What are all these structures? And how can we explain these things? And probably one of the most important things is realizing their own heritage. We have students that are, we have diverse populations. Not a lot, but we do. We have, smaller ethnic groups in our community. We have Mexican, we have African American, we have Cherokee, we have several different Native American groups represented. And some of them don't realize how rich their heritage is and how important it is to see that there are major historic places or major events pertaining to their heritage that developed our country. All groups get to enjoy that. And along with that goes with seeing major ceremonial places and seeing how people practice their ceremonies and what life was like. And then looking back at even major famous characters, famous people in the past, such as Conestoga, the great warrior of the Cherokees. Again, a chance to take pride in your heritage, to see homage and pay homage to those that were great and help develop our nation. And another thing that's really fun is whenever we have a chance to see someone who will perform living history. Now, this is great because some students will never get a greater comprehension of history than this. They may remember the slides, they may remember the places we visit, but almost none will forget this.
No! Gosh.
So this is the one thing that all students walked away saying, that was awesome. We got to see a real musket. This person here, Ranger Justin, went to great efforts to make us welcome and let us see the fort and to load a real musket to fire it off. Obviously not a loaded round, but just to fire off the powder. And he demonstrated and performed the whole thing, showing all the complexity and why things were difficult back then, even in warfare times. All kids enjoyed this. One interesting thing about this was it was usually my lower learners. It was the ones who struggled the most that took the greatest interest in this. They started asking questions that they were too intimidated to ask in class. They started looking at things. They wanted to touch everything, and that was really beneficial for them. And the whole point of all of this is to generate ideas. We want to develop ideas and interest. This is what I want for my students. I want to take them places. I want to give them access. I want to give them accommodations necessary to make their education better. I want to see them develop and take a great interest and have a thirst for knowledge, if not just in my subject, but all other subjects as well. That's what I hope to achieve as a teacher. I want them to see that learning is fun and that having curiosity and having the initiative to pursue that curiosity is rewarding. So to develop those great ideas and create us a better community as well.